Hello and welcome to,
Hey, we like your pod.
and we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, as always, joined by my trusted partner, Maddie Pickett. How you doing, Matt? How you doing? How you feeling?
Pretty good, all things considered. Coming off the end of a cold, so like that's getting better, which is nice. But it's an exciting time at school, at work right now because it is the last week of classes for the semester. So that's kind of fun. A bunch of holiday parties starting to sprout up at work, various organizations and stuff like that. So, it's kind of like a fun time kind of setting in. I mean, we're past Thanksgiving, obviously. So like we have our house decorated for Christmas. It's just I feel like there's a lot of like building excitement for like this fun part of winter before you get to like the terrible part of winter. But it is getting cold. It is wintry here. It's been like scraping the windshield in the morning, stuff like that. But I don't mind, being a proud son of Wisconsin. I don't mind the cold. Cold never bothered me anyway. But apart from that, just still really really just geeking out still about like last week's win over the Lions, still just really excited about that. And it's fun to feel like, our team has a really good chance all of a sudden to get into the playoffs. And I don't expect anything's going to happen. They might not make it past the first round even, but even just to get there, like in this year, that's supposed to be like a growing developmental year.
Yeah.
Exciting. It's fun, it's a fun team right now. So that's what I'm doing. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Still trying to get over my cold too. Only yours lasted 2 weeks and mine's lasted about 8. So no, I'm doing well. I kind of at this point it's just become a way of life. It was maybe I want to say it was like 65 or something like that today. It was really cold for us, and we had some sprinkles, and so I'm feeling it too. Well, that's all we get, It's relative. It's hey, don't laugh. That's all we get, and I love it. So I embrace that.
It was really cold. It's 65. I think it's really cold. It was like 30 or 40. No, it's 65.
No, I said for us, not really cool, but I liked it. I mean, so I'm kind of feeling the season change, and it's exciting, and and the cats, running around and frisky, and I've noticed that my cat last year I had her, I have her catio outside, so she can go in and out 24/7, and day and night. And it used to be that she would go out there, spend most of the night there, come wandering in around 4 a.m. and come to bed. And I don't know if it's because it's cooler and she's cold, but she's not even going out on her catio. I mean, even in the daytime when it's sunny and warm, it's so interesting. So I do feel like there's like a little bit of a chill in the air. Last year, I don't even think we had a winter, and I'd like to see a little bit of winter. That's
Tosh is going into hibernation mode is what it is.
I've noticed that her coat is much thicker and furrier.
That happens with cats, totally.
Yeah, she's looking more lynxy. So no, everything's good here, and I did try to make some turkey. Did I tell you I was going to try to make turkey?
No. What?
I tried. I just was like, sometimes I do that. And I used to be very militant vegan, but because I've been so sickly, I thought maybe I needed some turkey, even though I get like more protein. And that's like the only thing I'll eat, because fish, I can't digest anymore.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's just because I'm not used to it.
Sure.
But for some reason or another, my acupuncturist actually suggested turkey breast, and I get good energy from it. But I did try to make it, and it's not good. It smelled good, brings back those memories. but it didn't taste very good. So I've been giving it to the cat downstairs. She is so, speaking of well fed, and Tosh won't eat it. She won't eat turkey. So yeah, she just sticks with her gourmet
I was gonna say,
designer cat food.
She just has
Yeah.
her champagne tastes. None of this common folk turkey. Not for Tosh, no.
She's Tosh. She's so funny. So I'm looking forward to Sunday having a Packer game. It was very sad not having a Packer game last Sunday, but I still watched football. Had my eye a little bit on tonight's game of Thursday Night Football. So what do you think about those Cowboys this year? And Matt, Matt Murphy, our former coach before we had Matt. Somebody called our coach, some national broadcast that I heard this week called him Mike LaFleur.
Called him what?
Mike LaFleur. Who's Mike LaFleur?
It's his brother.
I know.
Yeah. Weird. No, the Cowboys, right? So we have to root for them tonight if we want the Packers to increase their chances of getting into the playoffs, because the Seahawks hold one of the wild cards. So like it helps us if the Seahawks lose, and it's hard. It's hard.
Hard to root for the Cowboys.
Rooting for the Bears, and they played the Vikings.
That was so fun, though. We got to see the Vikings lose. I forgot I was going to mention that.
It was like the worst game I've seen in a long time, since last year. Oh my gosh, I loved it. It was funny. It was so bad that it was like comical, but So weird rooting for the Cowboys. I was going to ask you, Don. The Seahawks are wearing like a throwback uniform tonight. It's like blue and silver, which looks like Lions. Do you like it?
I like all of the throwbacks, but yeah, it makes it hard to tell who's playing.
It does.
Who.
I know.
It's confusing.
When I turned on, I was like, wait, what am I seeing here? Like, is this the Colts? What is going on? It just did not look like the Seahawks at all. So it's like, like purple and like highlighter green or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, so like once I got past it, I was like, this is kind of cool, actually. This is all blue and white on white and blue, But
I don't like that neon.
Yeah, I don't like neon either. So I don't know. I feel like I've kind of gone back and forth on the way the uniform matchup looks, But in the end, when we're done tonight and I turn on the tail end of the game, I think I'll be like, I actually kind of like this color combo.
Right. In terms of who they're playing and how that matches up, it's a little hard. It's a little monochrome.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's monochrome. It's not a little monochrome. It is monochrome. So good job, Vikings. Thank you very much for letting us step up a little.
And if the Vikings keep looking that bad, like we should be able to get past them in the standings. Like they looked so bad in that game.
Yeah. So Lorenzo, hi, friend of the show, Lorenzo. Hi, Matt. Hi, Dawn. How was your day? So Lorenzo, how was your day? We've been doing okay here. We've got some superlatives to get to, so we're probably going to have a fairly short show tonight because my throat is still sore.
Oof. What do you want to get into the superlatives now, Dawn? Do you want to get onto them already, or?
Yeah, let's get rolling. Sure. Want to do like a volley type of thing?
Yes, I was going to suggest it. Absolutely.
Okay, this one's kind of a cheat, but I have a reason for kind of being like, this is kind of a cheat superlative, because sometimes we forget to pre-announce our guests for the next week, because we generally do that at the end of the show. And if we don't do it, there's no going back. So I'm making it a superlative this week.
Okay.
I'm so excited. And to announce that Tyler Dunn from Gold Long is going to be our guest next week, and so that is the most anticipated guest for me for a while, but I love all of our guests.
Solid superlative, Don. Yeah, when you told me that, you actually mentioned this a few days ago on when you're messaging me on Twitter, mentioned that you booked him for the show. I was like, what? Oh my God, that's a huge get, Don. So I am excited about that. He's a fantastic writer, a really interesting follow,
Yes.
His Go Long, his newsletter, all that kind of stuff is great. So I'm really excited to meet him.
Yes, and he's excited too. He's really jazzed. So yeah,
He
he
knows who
had
we are. What?
yeah, we're always, if you follow us, you always know that we're always shocked when we get these great people on our show, but we shouldn't be shocked anymore because we've had the best of the best. So it continues to happen. So
Sure,
yes, most
sure.
anticipated guest. That's my first superlative.
Very
What do
exciting.
you have, Maddie?
So, I was saying up at the top of the show that the feeling has shifted to like, oh, we actually have a chance of getting into the playoffs. And it was kind of like this vague sense of like, we look good. We've had like 4 weeks of looking good. And if we kind of like quick recap, we played the Rams, didn't look great, but we beat them because they looked really bad. So I was like, okay, we're on the upswing. Played the Steelers, looked really good, even though we didn't win. So I was like, okay, things are trending upwards. Remember, then we played the Chargers, and people were like, oh, the sun was in their eyes and they dropped passes and you shouldn't have won, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but we still look good though. And then, of course, obviously, with the ceiling we have so far with that Lions game. So it's like we're on the upswing. There's this feeling of like, we're actually growing and it's building the way that we were hoping to see this year. So to kind of stop and take stock of things to say, like, oh, we actually have a good chance, but how good a chance do we have of getting to the playoffs? Because my first superlative here answered that question. That's why I wanted to talk about it today. So it's best statistics. And this was Andy Herman's solo pack a day from, I think, Monday, maybe. It was Packers Path to the Playoffs was the episode.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah. So this was really great because, this is going to sound like a criticism. It is not a criticism. The pack a day feed has become so dense with shows because you got like Andy's solo show, you've got like the Pack a Day crew show, and you also have like if Andy has a show like with Justice that day or with Carmen Talley or with Paul Brettel or with anybody else, Mike Wall or what's his face, Sam from PFF, Sam Monfort.
Yes,
Monfort, what I'm talking about. Apologies to Sam for that. But suffice to say, like, it's hard to keep up with every single episode. I wish I had the time. I really do. They're all
right.
Love all of that stuff. So there's an element for me, like it's become like I need to kind of like carefully pick and choose because I only have so many hours in the day to listen to podcasts, like we all do. And so this was one that I was like, that was kind of interesting. I don't know. Let's see what it is. And because it was earlier in the week, so there wasn't as much stuff out yet. So I was like, let's just take a chance on this one. Whatever. I'm sure it'll be good because it's still, Andy Herman and it's still awesome. But oh my God, Dawn, it was so fascinating. I'd meant to like quote tweet it earlier in the week. I finally just got around to it today. But the thing about it was that, so Andy's playing around with the New York Times, like playoff machine basically for the NFL, where you can predict or you can see like what kind of chance your team has of getting into the playoffs. You can like, put in like if they win this, if they lose this, if they lose this, if they win this, to like generate what the percentage, statistically or whatever would be. However, the model works, however, it's simulations, it's running to get to these numbers, whatever it is. It's a tool. It's cool. So the podcast is just Andy playing around with it and talking about like what are the chances. And the thing is, the chances are really, really high.
Reasonable,
like,
right?
Yeah, like really reasonable. And so some of the big takeaways were that if we lose to the Chiefs, which I don't know, I think they're beatable. I'm not saying I think we're going to win. I'm just saying
they're not doing great.
They're not doing great for what they are, and we're doing great for what we are. So
right,
could happen, But even if we lose to the Chiefs, if we were to win out the rest of the games, which is I think entirely possible, like very possible, because a lot of like really weak teams. If we lose to the Chiefs, win the rest, we have a greater than 99% chance of getting in. Woo! If we lose to the Chiefs and drop, like, it depends which one of the rest of the games, but like it's the chances still would be like, I think greater than 65 at the very worst, but greater than 80, depending which one it was specifically. So like, just to know that it's more than 50%, and it's gonna get better every game we win.
That's right.
It's exciting.
That's right.
It's exciting. And I had no idea it was that big. And it does, speak to the fact that the NFC is kind of garbage right now on the whole, broadly.
Right.
Obviously some good teams, but yeah.
Yeah, it's okay because for once maybe we can take advantage of it because we haven't in the past few years when we really should have and could have. So totally I appreciate that, Steve Kornacki. And by the way, is Steve Kornacki going to start doing his spiel on Sunday Night Footballs? Is it that
his
time
khaki
of year?
pants and his like jumping around and stuff? I hope so. I love that stuff. That guy's awesome.
What was he on? He was on something. Was cocaine? It the National Dog Show? What?
He said, what was he on? I said, was it cocaine?
Oh, cocaine. No, he was on like something different. He did a gig. I think it was the National Dog Show on Thanksgiving Day. It was hilarious. I think
Oh
it
my
was
goodness.
that. I can't remember. It was somewhere where you're not used to seeing him.
Yeah, that sounds
It was really
hilarious.
fun. It was really. I love that. I love him. He's great. He seems
All
like
right.
such a nice person.
He
Well,
does.
that's cool. That's cool. And
He's a nice person.
yeah, no criticism. Pack a Day. There's just so much. I did kind of breeze past that, but I didn't listen. So now I'm gonna have to go back and listen because it sounds like I'm gonna get really hyped up when I do.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's gonna give you some hope.
Yeah, and now that it's almost Sunday, like only a couple more days till Sunday, then now I can get. I don't like to get hyped up too soon because I can't
Sure.
stand myself.
Yeah.
I can't stand being around myself. Oh, I've been doing these little videos. Speaking of so much content, there was a trial I've been talking about the last couple of weeks, a criminal trial, and there was a guilty verdict, and the mother got arrested, and her arraignment is like next week, and so, but this time around, it was there have been multiple trials for the same crime because it was conspiracy and a lot of people were involved and they each got their own trial so far pretty much, and there's national attention now, so it feels like the Packers content, like it's like, oh my god, there's just so much. You can watch it all day and still never catch up, and a lot of people are saying that, who tune into my channel or on channels where I'm in the chat with them. And so I'm feeling it from both sides now. Like just so much, and how do you pick and all that, so it's kind of not a big fun problem to have, right?
Yeah,
it's not a
big fun problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When I say too, with the Packers like suddenly looking good, there's not just our regular, kind of like local Packers people doing stuff, but you're hearing like more of the national people talking about them too. So
yes.
One that I'll get to in a minute, so not to get ahead of myself, is like, we wouldn't have this specific one if the Packers weren't all of a sudden getting good. So like there's more stuff coming in on top of everything else because of that. So yeah, it's just a lot right now. So
that's very true. And I will say, sorry, didn't mean to talk over you. I will say I did catch a lot of the national, and I think it's a lot of it is about Jordan Love, our quarterback. So
very much.
I love to see it, right? Because everyone loves to see someone fail, and also a success story, but it's just nice. And I mean, this is how the season was supposed to go. We weren't supposed to come on out looking how we look now.
Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we fall flat the rest of the season, or some games fall flat and some be great. This team is still coming together, a lot of young players and all that. So this is how it was supposed to be. And for once again, like I said last week briefly, we're maybe peaking at the right time. And a lot of the teams that are expected to be really good are having problems, and they might have peaked a little too early too. So, and injuries and that kind of things. So anywho. So I have another one, very short and sweet. It's best tweets, and also sorry, not sorry. Most sorry, not sorry for me. And it's just it just kind of came across my feed via I can't remember when, and it's from Midwest versus Everybody. That account, I don't know if you you follow them.
Good account. Funny. I like it a lot. Yeah.
And he or she posted a photo of somebody holding up a sign. Spotted cow is just okay. But you know what? I hate to say it, guys. This might not be popular, but I had my first spotted cow. My sister made sure I did, and I think I had it with Kate. Anyway, whatever. When I was just there and I got to see you, I had my first spotted cow, and I agree, it was just okay. I am not a big fan, but it's okay. It's okay.
Oh yeah, we don't like what we like. I mean, I would never, apart from when Lambo Ben, trash talks it on Twitter. Aside from that, I'm not going to give anybody grief for not liking it. Whatever. It's like, no, we're all allowed to like what we like. We all have different tastes.
Right.
I will say,
I
I
thought it
think
was so
that
funny.
it is its reputation has been bolstered by the
Right.
fact you can't get it outside of Wisconsin. You know, like that it
Right.
has that cachet, you know.
Right.
Like when I lived in Chicago, is if you're going up to Wisconsin, you gotta get some and bring it back because you can only get it when you're up there. So like that kind of like, you know, maybe it's overblown a little bit because of that, but this is a beer that I love. I mean, I
Hmm.
don't like hoppy beers, and it's not at all hoppy. It's just for me, right? My personal
Right.
preferences. I feel like it drinks really well with kind of anything.
Yeah.
Um, it's just it's smooth, and some people might be like, "Oh, it's not enough flavor." It's like, no, I don't want too much flavor because, like I said, I want
Right.
something hoppy, and
Right.
I love dark beers. So if I want a dark beer, I'll get a dark beer. This is just a good, like, you know,
Right. Yeah.
good everyday sipping kind of beer. My dad thinks it's too sweet. I can see where he's coming from on that.
Hmm.
But my dad drinks a lot of Miller Lite, so whatever, Dad.
What does
Just
he drink?
a lot of Miller Lite. Just he's a
Miller
big,
Lite.
yeah, big Miller Lite guy.
Poor
So it's
daddy.
like, I don't know, Dad. But
Mm-mm.
suffice to say, I can understand. You know, we're all allowed to like what we do. I can understand why a person would be excited about it because it's not
Thank
like
you.
a
Thank you.
like a heavy beer. You know, I
Hmm.
like it. I like it. Big
Yeah.
fan.
Well, I probably should have asked more questions. I just kept hearing about it. And like you say, you have high expectations because it's so hyped.
Hmm.
I do like hops. Like a hoppy beer. Did
Oh,
I ever mention my journey with beer?
you have not.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So, for those of you who don't know this, I grew up in Wisconsin. I pretty much hated all kinds of things, including bratwurst and the beer and the smell of beer and
Hmm.
all of it. I never even tried beer. I mean, I might have had a sip here and there and didn't like it. Couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand the smell of breweries when you'd go past them in
Hmm.
Milwaukee and be like, oh, it makes me hate him more. But especially the bratwurst thing, man, I just was like, how can, oh, I finally tried a bratwurst when I think I was about maybe 20, 21 years old.
Hmm.
And I got nightmares from it. I got serious nightmares. And I tried one again. I kind of liked it. It was
Hmm.
like, this isn't too bad. I think I had like a half of one on a bun. And with nothing, I mean, I don't know. There might have been onions or something, but whoever made it, they knew what they were doing. There
Hmm.
was like it was like at a pig roast or something. It was like we were playing volleyball. I remember it was nighttime. Anyway, I remember everything. And I had these crazy, crazy, horrifying nightmare. And I was like, that's weird. I swear the bratwurst gave me the nightmare. And so this couple used to have parties all the time and they had a volleyball court and all that. And so I tried it again. I
Hmm.
tried another one. Same thing happened.
What?
Nightmares.
What the
Nightmare.
heck?
Never had another bratwurst. Plus, I don't like sausage and I don't like meat.
I'll say you
So,
already eat meat, so
okay.
there's
So
that.
then beer, never drank beer.
Hmm.
It was always, wine or whatever
Hmm.
drinks. And one year I was stuck in traffic coming home from LA. And so I was in my car for hours and I was listening to PBS and they had this guy on. It was like he was a beer expert. Okay. And I happened to be leaving the next morning for Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic.
Hmm.
And what you could hear him like pouring the beer and describing the flavors. And he was drinking ancient beers like $1,500 a bottle, beers and that kind of thing. And I was just intrigued. It was like a wine tasting or a beer tasting without actually tasting it. And I was just
Hmm.
intrigued. So when I went to the Czech Republic, which has some of the oldest beers, breweries, and
Hmm.
monasteries where monks would make beer, and they have people import their hops, evidently. So I did this whole beer tasting thing.
Hmm.
And I kind of fell in love with the ones that I was trying there. So then it's so funny you said Miller Lite because then I was coming home and I came through LA on the way home for whatever reason. And I had to wait a couple hours
Hmm.
just to get back to Carlsbad. And so I'm sitting in the lounge as one does when they're waiting
Mhm.
around, right?
Sure.
And I was like, oh, I'm gonna have a beer, because I'm almost home. I can
Mhm.
relax. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
worry. And the only thing they had was Heineken. And I was just like, oh my God, this is terrible. But anyway, after that, once I got home, I would find all these European beers, and generally that's what I like.
Hmm.
But one time, I'm sorry, this is a really stupid long story, but I was at some event. And somebody, and they had was Miller or something like that.
Mhm.
And my friend was like, "Oh, just you'll like it. Try it. Just try it. If you don't like it, we'll get you something else." Horrifying. I mean, I was so
Horrifying.
spoiled. I was so spoiled because the beers that I was drinking were just like award-winning, fantastic beers, which aren't even the same in the United States because they have to change the formulas in the US because you can't have as much alcohol and this and that.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So, anyway, that's my story of beer. And so I was probably, I want to say, 45 years old before I had those beers. Like, I
Hmm.
never drank beer. And now I like it. Oh,
Wow.
and one more thing. And I
Yeah.
was having a health problem, of course, because that's my life. And I was having a stomach issue, like a weird thing.
Mhm.
And I, long story, they could only give me antibiotics that weren't approved in the United States.
Oh, wow.
They were only in Europe. And then so when I went to some spas,
Mhm.
like old, like mineral spas and that kind
Sure.
of thing. And I saw a doctor, and he said, you need to drink this one type of beer, one every night. And it helped my stomach.
Really?
It totally, yes. And it was, what's it called? Shoot. It was a Pilsner,
Mhm.
and gosh, I can't think of the name of it right now, but yeah, it did. It really helped my stomach. So that was the other thing. So I started
Mhm.
drinking it like if for my stomach.
Magic Pilsner. That's outstanding. Pepto Pilsner. That's what it was.
It was yeah, it was made. I'll think of it while we're talking.
Mhm.
And then I also got turned on to a bunch of liqueurs that were made from all these different herbs that were also medicinal.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So that I became much more of a drinker. When
Europe will
was
do
that
that to you, I guess, is the take home.
it was yeah, but I was kind of spoiled because it's like, oh, and then I came back here and people were serving Miller and
Mhm.
stuff like that at
Yeah.
events and stuff. So yeah. So your story of your dad drinking Miller Lite made me think of that. Like, how could anyone drink that? But it's because if you haven't, like, if that's all you had, it's probably okay. Because my dad used to drink that kind of stuff. I don't know if he
Sure.
drank light, but he just drank whatever
That's true. Yeah, I mean, if it's all you ever drink, it's kinda what you're used to.
you're used to,
That
right? And
that
so
that
then
is
I
what
got
beer is
used
for
to
you.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I came here, and it's like I had to go to a special store just to get beer.
Mhm.
But now
But
it's more common with all the craft breweries and
oh,
things like
yeah.
that. Yeah,
That's
especially here.
exploded,
Yeah.
right? Been exploded for a while now, but, you
Yeah.
made me think that on, the first beer that I had that I actually liked was actually a Spotted Cow when I was, 23 years old. Before like, in college, I did not drink at all because I wasn't interested in it. I didn't like the
Yeah.
taste of beer, and I was at a colleague's house in my first year of teaching band in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Peter Schmaltz, great man. Dr. Schmaltz. He had me over for dinner a couple times. This is one of the times he's like, "Here, Matt, you want a beer?" And I was like, "I'm not really into beer." He's like, "Ah, I don't think you've tried beer like this before." And
That's what everyone
so,
would say to me.
oh, right, exactly. But it's like, okay, Spotted Cow, New Glarus sounds good. And I was like, oh, this is actually good. So I think I
Right.
hadn't thought about that in years, so like it
Yeah.
just unlocked that memory for me. And I guess
Yeah.
that there might be like that element of that's not nostalgia, but there's that like that memory of it kind of plays into why I like Spotted Cow too. It's reinforced by that experience, I think. So, huh,
Yeah.
hadn't thought about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Why can't I think of the name of the one beer that was made right
I
there?
don't know. Should I do my next one? My next
Please. Yeah. And
proposal,
I'll
so you can
think.
like
I'm
think
going to
about
look
it.
it up. Yes.
All right. So my next one is best roundup. So you might think it's too early for mock drafts. I wouldn't fault anyone who would express that sentiment. It is very early for that kind of a thing. But the reason why I didn't
But
take any umbrage in seeing this this roundup of some of the early mock drafts was because, you know, we're in this growing place for the Packers, seeing how they develop. And so thinking a lot about, like, you know, 2024, 2025, like, you know, a lot of people will say 2025, let's try to make that be like where we get the Super Bowl, you know, like we're building to that. We develop this year, develop more next year until 2025. We're just like this juggernaut. I think it's possible, you know? So when we're thinking about this long-term things, that's just the phase we're in. Yeah, it makes sense to think about who could we pick up in the draft with the kind of capital we're going to have, who's out there. It's, you know, you just think about the future of the team. So for this reason, when I saw Jacob Westendorf's roundup of a bunch of different like mock drafts from, like, you know, national well-regarded analysts, I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And you know, it wasn't just like, here's what this guy said, here's what this guy said, here's what this woman said. You know, it was like, let's talk about the different picks, let's kind of dig into it a little bit, a little analysis, a lot more information than what most people have. It was a great read. So this was the title of the article is New NFL Mock Drafts Have Packers Building Around Jordan Love, again by Jacob Westendorf, friend of the show. Really, really, really good dude. I love Jacob. Jacob, if you're listening, man, I love you, dude.
We love you, Jacob.
So great. So suffice to say, really like got me kind of, you know, just a little bit of excited about you know, when we will eventually dig into the draft when we get to that point. You know, obviously some people do that now. There are those out there who are big into that kind of thing already, but no, really, typically well-written article for Jacob. He's an excellent writer, and just a lot of fun to read. So, you know, he's writing for well, what is it called? SI.com, Sports Illustrated? Is it Packer Central? Is it what is it? You know, whatever it is, it's the same, you know, outlet that Bill Huber, who we talk about a lot, writes for. So check it out. It's really good stuff.
Love it. I saw that tweet. He tweeted about it, but I was like, I can't do this now. I can't. I'm enjoying myself right now. And I get, you know, how we get when the season's over. It's like, oh, this is so sad. And then we wait until the draft happens so we can at least have some fun while we're waiting. But it does go pretty fast. But the season, I can't believe it's December. We are 13 games in, right, to this season.
Something like that. I don't know, whatever it is. Yeah. We're 5 and 6 and we had our bye. So week 13 started tonight. Yeah, with the Cowboys and Seahawks.
Cowboys and the Seahawks are ahead by 8 points right now.
Oh, shoot. I don't want that. They got to lose this one.
Plenty of time. They're still in the third quarter.
Okay, plenty of time. 6
minutes left in the third. They can. And by the way, that first beer that the doctor recommended, because of where I was, it's called Pilsner Urquell.
Oh yeah, you can get it in the US.
Yeah, you can get it in the US. It doesn't taste quite the same. I don't enjoy it like I did at first, but I tried all kinds of other. Like I said, I went to these breweries and I just did all these fun tastings, and it was so fun. It's like, I'm drinking beer. It was just so, if you were around me, it was like, I don't like bratwurst, I don't like football, I don't like beer, it was like that. So it was, to me, I was happy. It wasn't that I was trying to be difficult. I just genuinely did not like those things. I just, but I just stood, I didn't fit into a lot of Wisconsin culture for that reason.
Having moved away, you now do.
Exactly. Sometimes it just takes a different type of experience. But yeah, that was the Pilsner that kind of helped my tummy, and the spa's experience there was so great. I mean, because I believe in all that healing of water and minerals that are in some of these ancient spas and things like that. It was just a fantastic trip I took there. Okay, so my next, I guess it's my final. This is a repeat. I talked about Wi-Fi Willie last week, so he's back again because I am really starting to get addicted to his show, at least for a minute. I go through phases. We all do. We go through phases, but he's fun, and he had a show. I don't know if you've heard these little rumblings that John Gruden might actually be rehired by the Raiders. I always thought it was a possibility. Yeah.
No,
because he's won all of his, the coach they have going right now, I think is doing pretty well, but there are a lot of people that, really do believe, I mean, he's winning in the courts, and the NFL really is getting exposed. for what happened there. But yeah, he did like a 9-minute piece, and I think he's a Raiders fan too, I'm guessing. But he did it's called, and so my superlative is most wild. John Gruden returned to Raiders, just got real, and that's Wi-Fi Willie. So I'll drop the link for that YouTube video. It's like I said, it's about 9 minutes, so it's kind of fun. And he's a fun commentary. Like, he's got a great voice and enthusiasm. He's got a really unique voice too, and so I enjoy him for that reason.
Yeah, you mentioned that you talked about him last week. So it reminded me again, what was the topic of the video that he did that you talked about last week?
Probably having to do with the lawsuit. I'm guessing. I'd have to look. I don't remember what I did 2 minutes ago. Yeah, it probably had to do with because I'd look right now on his, but he does something every day. But it probably had to do with what was going on in the courts.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Really check him out.
You know, one thing he does mention too, not that was this topic, but you know, he did say something interesting during the week. He said one of the only people as far as national commentators who has been critical of the NFL and of Roger Goodell is our friend Mike Florio, because he's a lawyer and he understands what was wrong. Like, he was questioning all along what was happening here, right? And he's been quite vocal about it. But one thing Wi-Fi Willie said was in the last week or so, Mike Florio is starting to back off and saying, you know, it's not John Gruden, this and that. So where there's smoke, there's fire. John Gruden, you know, he'll probably still have his job forever, but there was so much dirty business with that whole thing. I'm not John Gruden, Roger Goodell. Of course, John Gruden is not blameless, but the way it happened was just that's not right. You know, it wasn't right.
Yeah.
And I think that the owner of the Raiders too didn't feel right about it and didn't have a choice. He was kind of forced into the situation. It was kind of mafiosa. I mean, it was really nasty the way it went down. Yeah, it was pretty wild. NFL law in general, following these things is tremendously entertaining and interesting. Learn a lot, you know, and you don't even have to deal with watch fiction, because there's so much happening in the real world.
It's true.
It's kind of sad, but true. Yeah, so that was it. So I had a most anticipated guest, best tweet, sorry not sorry about the spotted cow, and most wild.
That's right. All right. Well, I guess I should do my last one then, huh?
That's right.
So I had mentioned that there's more kind of national content coming about people focusing on Jordan Love. I mean, we've had, you know, throughout the season, most weeks, yet another great, you know, QB school from JT O'Sullivan. So it's been like a really nice constant this season. His stuff is amazing. Of course, you know, I check it out every week when he puts out one about Jordan Love, which has been most of the weeks. So like that's a good example. Robert Mays talked about it with Chase Daniel on their Thursday show, the one I think it's called In the Pocket. So like that was really fun for like 20 minutes of talking about that. Wow. But the one I want to talk about specifically is I'm going to call this best multi-week breakdown, and this was Ben Solak, who we've talked about before. He does stuff for The Ringer. He did a video called Jordan Love Looks Like the Future in Green Bay on his like series The Play Sheet, and this was a lot of fun because if you compare it with like again like a JT O'Sullivan, that he's like breaking down like what Jordan Love did this week, and Ben Solak was looking at like trends you could see in the last 4 weeks. You know, I had mentioned earlier like the Packers have been good for about 4 weeks, right? So he kind of like took some stuff from across those 4 weeks, looking at like some of the trends, some of the stuff he's been doing, some of the like highlights, some of those specific things you can look at in these games that say Jordan Love's got it. Like he's pulling it together. Like it's looking really good for him. So you know, some kind of like film breakdowns, some like pointing out specific things. And Ben Zolik's he's just entertaining. Like he's just good at presenting information and stuff. So that was a really, really fun watch. You can find it out there on YouTube, of course, you know, on the Ringer's website. I retweeted it. You can find the show notes, obviously, all these things. But I'd recommend it. Ben Solik's he's kind of a hoot. Kind of a hoot, I'm trying to say. So that's a good one. It's pretty short too. I mean, it's like a 17-minute watch, as opposed to, and again, not to keep bringing up JT O'Sullivan, but like his stuff is like 42 minutes to like, and over an hour sometimes. So like a quick little 17 minutes of Ben Solik breaking some stuff down. It's a good time.
Well, and with JT, because he's doing film breakdown, you have to actually be watching, like, Brian, I call him Brian Mays. That's Led Zeppelin. I'm sorry, that's Queen.
Brian May is Queen. Yeah, I was like, he's not Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin, Queen.
Robert Mays.
See, I can't remember. You can listen to him as if it's like a lot of YouTube channels I listen to, like their podcast, because you don't really have to be watching people.
Yeah.
And I hope a lot of people do that with me, because I don't love the idea of being looked at so much, but yeah. Cool. I love it. Those are great superlatives. Yay, we did it. I'm so excited. We are starting week 13 of the NFL. It's really hitting me that I think because we have sprinkle and 65-degree weather. I'm like, it's winter. Football's going to be over. No. So whatever. We'll get through it. I'm not going to get depressed. I'm going to stay in the moment. It's still here now.
Exactly. I was going to say that, Dawn.
I know.
Enjoy each game as it's happening, while it's happening. Live in the moment.
That's right.
Yes.
And
soak
speaking
in the
of
holiday season.
That's right. So speaking of each game, it is now 28-27. The Cowboys are catching up. It looks like they missed their extra 2 points.
That's
so they got a touchdown. They went for 2, I think, unless they missed the extra point. But in any case, 28-27.
They're coming back. Yeah.
Still, I think it's like the end of the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken. So we're okay.
We'll turn that on once we're done here. So
yeah, me too.
All right. Well, any final thoughts before I do the closing here, Dawn?
I don't think so. I just hope everybody out there is staying healthy. There are some really weird viruses going around, and I'm really happy that you're feeling a little better and that you're able to fight it off, unlike me. Who probably needs another round of antibiotics.
Probably.
But, just be safe and wear masks, even if it doesn't have to be that you're protecting yourself or others from COVID. You could spread something, you could get something. Just be safe. There's a lot of togetherness right now. You're seeing, and there's just more people everywhere. Like you go to the store and so I'm very aware of that with my immune deficiency anyway. So I'm always wearing a mask at this point. I'm just glad that was one positive thing for me with COVID. It's like, yay, people are not going to look at you so strange if you wear a mask. Because I was wearing a mask. I was too embarrassed. So wear that mask, stay healthy. It's not worth getting sick. And there's also virus going around for dogs.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yes, it's very serious. And they don't know what it is. And it's very serious. People are losing their dogs. And
wow.
Yeah. So if you have any friends, let them know to look into the new virus, because you want to keep your dog, if possible, out of doggy daycare right now, away from dog parks, where dog shows, wherever you're going to be a lot of dogs in one place. That's where it's the worst. It is a virus, and it is spreading, and it is deadly, and it's some kind of a pneumonia. I know, it's really sad. I hope they don't, and hope cats don't get it too. Yeah,
seriously.
I'm convinced I have the dog virus. Actually, once I read about it, I was like, that's what I hate.
Dawn, you're not a dog.
I know, but you never know. All right, Maddie, let's bring her home.
Oh yeah, I actually do have one final thought that I almost forgot about. I meant to even like clip this one thing and play it on the show. I just forgot to get around to it. But what I'm talking about here is at the end of the Wednesday Pack-A-Day, Steve Perhatch, a great dude, we've had him on the show a couple times here, was talking about like a thing at work where people are like in December, whatever, are encouraged to tell people how much they appreciate them, kind of go out of their way. And I think, definitely with the kind of vibes we have in this show of spreading the love and being positive. strong appreciation. I think I just want to encourage people, especially in this month, to in this month that starts tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? To go out of your way to like tell somebody, that you appreciate them, why you appreciate them. Because I think just sharing those kinds of good vibes is good at this time of the year when there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of like,
Right.
just it's a lot. December can be a lot for a lot of people. So yeah, just take the time to tell somebody why you appreciate them, that you do, and just let them know. Basically, I like that a lot. Steve said it more eloquently than I'm doing right now. I'm kind of stumbling around it, but you can check that out at the end of the last Wednesday pack a day with, of course, Steve and Dusty and Sarah. So check that out, folks, and tell somebody why you appreciate them.
Yeah, because you never know what people are going through, and not
Exactly.
everybody enjoys the holidays. Some
Mm-hmm.
don't celebrate, like myself, but some people are really hurting and missing someone that maybe they lost or they're having a
Yeah.
problem with. So yeah, just be kind. I love that. I love that whole vibe of that show, that they do that.
Yeah.
I love
Totally.
Steve.
Oh, I love
And I
Steve.
did miss that. I did miss that this week.
Worth checking
All
out.
right, Maddie.
All right. So, next week's guest again will be Ty Dunn from Go Long. And so, like, make sure to come back for that one next week for sure. That should be a really good one.
Yes.
And otherwise, friends, of course, you'll find links in our show description for everyone we mentioned. So please check it out. Also, we'd love to have the chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and or a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow, please, is by sharing it with your friends and family, please.
Yes, Maddie, that's right. Because we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.